Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the District 3 podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, the legislative assistant. We also have Dre, our community engagement strategist, and the wonderful, wonderful Councilwoman Shameka Parrish-Wright. We are joined tonight by PAVE, Parents Against Violence Engage, and we will go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Brandi Dunn, and I am the administrator for PAVE.
Hello, I am Roshon Blakely, and I'm just a team member.
Hello, my name is Nathan Gardner. I'm just a team member.
Hello, my name is Sunshine Hughes, and I am the web developer as well as community recruiter.
Oh, this is my turn. I'm Dre Dawson, community engagement specialist for District 3.
We need no introduction, but here she is, the Councilwoman Shameka Parrish-Wright.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here. This is a podcast that I've been looking forward to, as I am someone who practices nonviolence but has experienced a great deal of violence in my youth. And I want our children, our young people, our seasoned people to be able to survive and thrive in Louisville. We know that there's societal issues and not personal feelings that sometimes cause people to choose violence. And what we want to do is talk through this and see how our work together can help end the violence that we see, not just in our young people, but in all the people who are dealing with violence or having the choice to choose to be violent or to choose to participate, and making sure that they choose what's best for them and that they do everything they can to be a good example in their community of people who focus on human rights, on social justice, on faith, and ways to live, even dealing with so many issues.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about what PAVE does. When did you all get started, I guess? And what brought you into fruition?
We got started about 3 years ago. There was a kid that got killed on a bus stop, and the parent, which was in the Youth Alive program, called and asked, how could we slow down or stop the violence in the city? So it started off with about 7 of us. We had to come up with the name, then the curriculum. And so we went ahead and got it all started. And then we had some that left, which our team now is where it's supposed to be at. And it's really a good team. We work together. We're out here in the community. We're open. We get emails. We answer emails. We go have barbecues. We're in Baptist Fellowship, Newburgh, Park Hill, and I think we're ready to start in Smoketown.
Y'all do meetings in all these neighborhoods? Yes,
and these meetings are all starting from 6 to 7. Sometimes we go over to 7:30. It all depends on how good and delicious and juicy it goes, but sometimes it does go over.
But that barbecue good, ain't it?
Wow.
So meetings are every Thursday in all the neighborhoods simultaneously at the same time?
No, not quite. We're actually in the process of securing all the spaces in the other neighborhoods. Currently, on Thursday evening, we meet every Thursday across the street from Maupin Elementary on Catappa, 1351 Catappa Street. And just to give you a little bit about who we are, we're Parents Against Violence Engagement. We strongly believe that it takes a village to raise a child, but a parent needs the village too, right? So PAVE is the village. What do you need from your village? Do you need help with housing? We can point you in the right direction. Do you need help with the court system? We can point you in the right direction. Do you need help advocating for your child in school? We can help you with that. So what we do is we meet weekly. We have a 11-step curriculum that we stretch for either 12 weeks or 12 months. And we teach our parents things like communication, self-love, co-parenting, building independence, accountability, advocating for your child, unlearn and relearn, conflict resolution, learning to cope, power, mental health, and trauma. We have found that if we get to the root causes of the lack of knowledge in these topics right here, we can slow down some violence. If you knew how to properly advocate for your child in school, you would know how to make sure that your child is getting the things that they need to be successful in life. Mm-hmm. If you know how to effectively co-parent with your child's other parent, then it no longer becomes about the adults, but about what's best for the child, right? If you don't know how to love yourself, you can never give proper love to anybody else. If you know how to fight and argue, but you don't know how to resolve conflict, we're not going nowhere, right? So we're here to help parents sharpen the tools in their toolbox so that their children and their grandchildren and their grandchildren's grandchildren have these same tools and techniques to be successful in life.
One of the amazing things that I experienced at PAVE was when individuals begin to engage with these principles, and at the end of the session, they'll come back, and then they'll share their testimony of how they applied this in their lives. And so we're going to be very vigilant. We know now that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. We got to learn how to fight different. I'm from the 60s, baby. And everything was a little bit different then. We fought. Next days we was friends. It was more or less saying, can you fight? Now it's more or less, I didn't worry about, whether I wasn't going to make it home tonight. So we are trying our best, with the community's help. And hopefully some people can get the word out that we're here and we're here to stay. And we need all the support we can get. Anybody can join us. There's no... no fees, no dues, none of that thing. Just, volunteer your time to be a parent with your own experiences. So every experience counts, because not everybody can corner the market on parenting. They got many books out there, but it may not be your scenario. It may not be your story. So we have a lot of good stories, that impacted a lot of people in our community. And we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep doing the work that's right in front of us.
So... In doing the work, I know you said you started, how you started. Do you see a lot of parents come in with all the violence that's going in the city? Are you doing a lot of, recruiting or seeing, just helping parents like on a daily? How does a parent going through something come in to PAVE and get help, I guess? And that's to anybody. No one person has to answer that.
So a lot of PAVE, we do have social media platforms. I myself and the team, we attend a lot of community events. But the number one thing that gets the parents in the door is word of mouth, right? Okay. So we may be at a community event and tell you who we are. Hey, we're Parents Against Violence Engagement. We're going to meet this Thursday. We're serving dinner, and you might show up. It's not the showing up that keeps them there. It's what happens once they get there. Mm-hmm. Because what we foster is an open environment. And yes, our goal is to slow down the violence with the youth, but we're working with parents. So this is really not for a space for children, because sometimes the conversation is so raw and so real. It might not be best for everybody's children to be in the room, but we have to have a place to discuss what's really going on, right?
I think it was interesting that before we got on the mic, the little story that you shared. You should share that again.
My story.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you my story, how I came in the room. I was invited, word of mouth, and I came in the room, and my teammate right here was kind of leading the session. Well, at the time, I was going through a separation that I have been with my husband for 20 years. Okay, so it was really rough. And the topic that day was co-parenting. And I did not know how much I needed that conversation until I walked in that room. One of the first things that I heard was co-parenting is not just when the parents are separated. Co-parenting take place under the same roof. Never even heard of that, right? Never even considered that, but that's so true. The next thing I heard.
It's very true.
It's very true.
A lot of I grew up and seen in other people's houses, like I don't think your parents like each other.
Exactly. And if there's no cohesiveness, you're telling the child to go left and their dad's telling them to go right, and then all their friends are pulling them backwards, right? So there has to be some cohesiveness, co-parenting inside the home. The second thing that she said was, I just lost it now. I'm trying to remember what I said before I got on the mic. But the last thing she said that drove it home for me, that has kept me in that room every single Thursday is, I know what it was. Your child's parent is not their ex. That may be your ex, but that's not your child's ex.
Mm-hmm. So true.
That is so true, right? And that's hard to hear because we get so angry. But we have to understand that they're still connected to our child, right? Mm-hmm. And then what drove it home is she said when she was going through that, one thing that she did to help her boys get through the separation process was she kept her children's father's pictures hanging in the home. Because their father is still their village. That hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I didn't know that I even needed to hear that. I had never considered any of that, right? But it changed me, right? It's even changed the way I communicate with him to this day. We talk about mental health, and the mental health professional that we had at this time, she was talking about your upper brain and your lower brain, right? And she was talking about you never respond to someone when they're operating in their lower brain. Well, I'm like, what's their lower brain? That's when they have gotten so angry, so mad. They can't hear you. They're blacking out, and they're rah, rah, rah. You're not going to get through to them. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do. You'll always bump into the wall. Who kept bumping into the wall before they heard that? Me. It's like I just kept going right to the wall, to the wall. But now that being in the PAVE room has sharpened those tools in my toolbox, I now understand that when I get to the point where I'm angry and I recognize I'm in my lower brain, I need to stop. That's time for me to pause, right? So
you're a support group that gives parenting tools to help parents cope with
everything.
That helps reduce violence.
Yes.
Can I add to that? Hearing your story reminds me of what I hear a lot of parents experience, and especially when they have to feel like they need to switch to co-parenting. Co-parenting is exactly how you described it. It happens in the home, but most often people are letting the parenting be led in a certain way. It's important that our children know that we are and see us working through that process. Is something that I got to experience with my mother, but I also experienced seeing my mother have to protect herself in violent situations, which made me be very defensive when I became a parent, and very protective and very like, I can do this, I don't need any help. And then realizing that I needed to be inclusive, because at whatever stage my father and my brother's father and my sister's father were in, my mother never cut off communication. She always made sure that we could communicate with them, and we all developed our own relationships.
Absolutely.
And you can say what you want, like, I'm not going to be like my mom, and I'm going to have one kid by one person and for the rest of my life. But life doesn't always work out that way, and we actually have a lot of blended families, and we see that happening. So later in life, as I experienced it with the fathers of my children, we all had holidays where everybody's father came over. Wow. And that was very strange for my husband, because he only knew cold turkey. When him and his ex split, and the two children, they just went with her, and he had little contact, and he became what we call a pay dad, where he pays all the child support, but he doesn't get the access to visit and things. So now they're grown. And so for him, it was rough to see me in dialogue with the fathers of my children, or them coming to holidays, because he hadn't seen it, And I think that what we're doing now is we're understanding the whole dynamics, and what you described in your co-parenting. It is definitely that village, and that village is right there. And just hearing you talk about not removing the pictures, that's something we didn't do as a family. We kept the pictures. We didn't burn the pictures or cut people out. Unnecessarily. Let's say it was a boyfriend, it didn't matter, a girlfriend, it didn't matter.
You burn some of them.
Be like my uncle would bring somebody every holiday, so they don't count. But it just took time for us to realize we are in this together, and then we want our children to be connected when they grow up. And so it was really important to hear you talk about the tools. The one, providing a meal, a dinner So I'm not stressing. I can be fully paying attention because I know that we're fed, and I can just come there and receive the information. Doing that at a consistent place every Thursday across from Maupin. My boys went to Maupin. I lived at Southern and Hemlock, so I lived around the corner from Maupin. And then knowing that in that environment, when people are dealing with violence or dealing with issues that get them upset, not having the conflict resolution skills, because people really don't want to have to be violent. But the reality is that if you don't have the toolbox that you talk about, then you turn to that. So just thinking about the choices we make every day on whether we choose violence or choose to be nonviolent, and the fact that a lot of times when our young people experience violence, it's in the home first. It's with family members first. And so we want them to walk away with better tools. So I'm excited to hear about PAVE. The organizer in me, the director in me, wants to know, how do you continue to offer those services for free? And do you have funding? And have you had any partnerships with anyone to help?
So we do solely rely on donations, grants, community help. Sometimes it's just us coming together and being like, we're going to eat tonight, okay? We're going to serve our parents some food tonight. And it's really just resilience. We're not stopping. This message that we are trying to impart to the city is too important to just let it go. And I know that we keep saying we're a parenting group, and we are. And we are against violence, but we also work with parents of the victim of violence and parents of the perpetrator of violence, because who helps those mothers and who helps those fathers? And this group's not just for mothers. It's mothers, it's fathers, it's aunts, it's uncles, it's grandparents, it's godparents, it's foster parents. It's anybody that's raising a child in 2024 needs to be in the room to make sure you have the sharpest toolbox to help your children go forward.
Perfect. Well, before you leave, I do want you to tell the audience how we can help PAVE in a financial way. I know with volunteering, if there's a site to go to, and I don't know if you vet volunteers or how you do it, but you have a lot of people who want to be a part of the work you're doing.
Okay. How to be a part of PAVE. We have a website. It's pavelouisville.net. And once you go on there, you can see the information about the program as well as our core concepts, pictures of the participants. And then on the contact us page, there is an option to be a presenter, a parent, or a sponsor. Anyone who wants to volunteer help or donate money, funds, anything, can go on there. We are notified as soon as you put in your information and push send. One of us is able to reach out and give you more information. Also, if possible, we also take referrals from other organizations such as Kroger's, the Salvation Army, anyone who wants to participate and be a part of our village. Just go online and put in your contact information, and we will surely contact you as soon as possible.
You can also reach us at our email address at PAVE Louisville. I said that wrong. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. It's PAVE LLC 502 at gmail.com. That's PAVE LLC 502 at gmail.com. Or you can also call the number at 502-224-5017. Again, that's 502-224-5017.
Perfect. And PAVE is P-A-V-E.
Yes.
Okay.
And just one more thing, just for any parents that may be involved, like I said, with the criminal justice system, or they're fighting to get their children back or anything like that, at the end of our cohort, we actually offer our parents a parenting certificate. This certificate right here will allow you to go to the courts and say, hey, I've completed a parenting class, right? The village. We are the village.
That's so important because as I teach martial arts, I tell all my parents that come in there, because I have a lot of parents who are dealing with, kids in different situations, co-parenting, abusive, bullies, self-esteem, all type of issues. And a lot of them, our parents are single, of course. And so, you know, when you come in, you're a part of a village now. Like, you know, Sensei will pop up at school if he needs to, you know what I mean? And they're not used to that, but they love it because we all need it. Even if I was married and we all in the same house in this perfect situation of a family, you still need a village. You still need uncles and aunts and different people to influence the child. And I think a lot of our youth, you know, even outside of that, because of that, don't get to experience outside of their city, outside of their world, because their world is usually confined to, you know, my mom or my dad. And if they're not going anywhere, then how can they show me anything, like you said earlier? So with the village, now you got auntie who's traveling, and yeah, go with your auntie for 2 months over in there, you do whatever, you know what I mean? And they get to get different experiences. They get to be around different people, and that gives them a better world view, which I think de-escalates the violent tendencies in you, because, you know, a lot of, when you cage animals, there becomes aggression. You know what I mean? And we may not be physically caged, but we're mentally and emotionally caged a lot in the spaces that we go to as Black people. And we feel it. And that even as a child, you feel that. And if you don't know how to let that go, constructively release that, you know, me and Shameka were talking earlier just about understanding how to fight differently, you know, because when we all come from the jungle, there's only one fight. You know, we only got so many words for the paws come out. You know what I mean? And so, but when we're in the spaces with different people in professional spaces and stuff, you got to understand how to fight that, you know, the same fight. Because a lot of times we lose a lot of our warriors. They just go to the other side and they forget us about, you know, where they came from. And so it's being able to navigate that, understanding that aggression is real, that oppression is real on me. But can I articulate that and fight that with my words, fight that with my mental? You know, I teach a lot of my kids chess. You know what I mean? Because I tell them your best weapon is your mind. If all you get from me is kicking and punching, you missed most of the lesson. That's right. You know what I mean? I said, I teach you kicking and punching, but what do you use every day? You use the self-confidence. You use the self-discipline. You use the control of your mind and body every day. You fight with that every day more than you do the actual physical. If it gets to the physical, that means you messed up somewhere. You missed one of the steps. So I think the work that you all do is very important, especially what you said, talking about accountability to the parents, because I stress that a lot in my parents too. You know, I tell them to sit in class. One, you should be seeing what your children is learning. And then two, a lot of times, because my dad still teaches class, Baba still teaches, you know, I'm the senior instructor, but he's there. You know, it's like dad, granddad. You know what I mean? And so I tell him all the time, he's not the one that's going to whoop you. I'm the one that's going to whoop you. He's just going to put sugar on top, kiss you, and then tell me to whoop you again in my ear. You know what I mean? So, but like when he sits back and gives that knowledge of like 75, 80 years, right, of being a father of the community, he's not just teaching the kids, he's teaching me and he's teaching the parents too. Teaching us how to parent, you know, because a lot of times, like you said, we don't know the lessons that we need, you know, as an instructor. And he puts me out here. He's like, all right, now teach what you know, and I'm like, OK, then you realize I got to be taught how to teach. Right. You know, to be effective. You know, I could just go out here and do my thing. But to really be effective and for the goal to be set for them to learn, I've got to be able to be, you know, loose. I got to be able to adjust the lesson for him and adjust the lesson for her, but get them to the same place. And so just him being able to still give that guidance even to us, right, as we try to hold our kids accountable, then we should always have that chain of lineage, you know, where that's the grandparents teach.
We have the learn and unlearn.
Yeah.
And I came up with that. I teach. And I said, a lot of these kids have learned stuff that we got to teach them to unlearn and teach them a new way. Yes, ma'am. And so even though I'm up in age, I just don't look it.
Look good, girl.
They learn a lot from me as a teacher than they do the young teachers, because I do bring all the wisdom from the street to the books. I bring all of that to these children. They respect me more from K to 5 than they do even our principal.
Yeah.
Wow.
When those children get in trouble, they say, you send them down to Miss Rowe. She takes care of them. And when they come, they know, she ain't going to play with me.
Yeah, I think that's important.
To stay
yeah.
that away.
Yeah.
Because once you bend, they're going to shake you.
And
They
they
ain't going to shake me.
No.
I'm here to love you and the teacher. But
Exactly.
you ain't going to get away with that mess. You at home, this is my house. And I'm talking about the whole school.
Exactly.
It's mine.
That's
and
our
I
village.
stand by myself a lot.
Yeah.
But that's my house.
Yeah.
You might have the principal, but I'm the main teacher.
I think. Do y'all think that that's a driver in violence today? Is that we don't have enough? Well, one, we don't have enough of a village sometimes, but two, enough black educators to relate to the kids, to be able to give them things that a good parent is getting at home, but then I send it right out into the jungle, which is school, and ain't no telling what you getting out here. But if we had more, you know what I mean, the mama and the dad at the school, the black educators who understand that, like, look, this is school, but you my child. You know, you in here, I'm going to treat you like my child, and I ain't going to let nobody harm you, but you going to get this lesson.
Yeah,
you know
I understand
what I mean?
that part because a lot of them, they say, man, she's hard. I said, no, that's what they're used to. So I got to come down to their level for them to know this is where it's at. You might go over there with Miss Susie and do all that and throw that chair, but over in here, unacceptable. And that's all I have to do. But they said it's the way that you say it. Because Susie can say it this way. And they look at Susie and go on and do what they're going to do. Miss Rowe, going to come to you correct. You know, and I tell them, I said, it's really not a black and white thing. It's just the way that I was raised. I raised 6 kids, 5 boys, 1 girl, and I ran it like a sarge. And I always say, now that they got older, everybody's children is my children. Whether I'm the aunt, the grandmother, the sister, the neighbor, I want to treat your child like they mine. Because if something happens in my possession, I'm going to carry that, no matter who you are. So I'm here to stay. I'm here to teach, whether it's on a job or out here volunteering with PAVE. This is just me. I'm just here to stay.
That's right.
And we need that. Since you segue to kids, and I share being a mother of 6, except 4 girls and 2 boys. But most recently, before spring break, one of my boys experienced someone bullying him on the bus. And it goes back to what Dre is saying. You could do all this amazing work in the community. You can be a part of so many great things. But then when you go home, reality is reality. Your family is your family. And I'm hoping that in PAVE, you're giving parents opportunities for best practices, right? So this is my 6th child, so he's our youngest. I have 4 adult daughters and the 2 teenage boys that go to Central. And so when this happened, everybody in my family was in an uproar. His sisters wanted to go there. Dad wanted to go there. I know I couldn't
Not
go
my
there.
baby. Not
get
my
on
baby.
the bus and like you can't go and just approach someone's child and all of that stuff. So like parents need tools on how they can react. So I was talking to Dre about this earlier. One of the things I told him, I had him to explain it to me what happened, and then his brother also explained because he was on the bus at the same time. And I had to explain to him like once you chose to grab that person, you now have made it from, even though that person was doing something to you didn't like, when you did that, it made it physical. So as we go to advocate for you, then they can say you were the aggressor because you grabbed that person, then that person punched you, and very, very hard. And so looking at my child, knowing that when I was young at his age, I was about that life in a way that my kids say that my older 3 are my struggle kids and my younger 3 are my mortgage kids, if that gives you an idea.
Yes,
and so watching how they all navigate, and so the girls are like, no, we can't let this happen. We got to show. I'm like, you all are grown. You all could go to jail if we all just show up at a bus stop. But are you, the intersection of school and the bus and how parents should react. We've seen cases where parents have gotten on the bus gotten in trouble, went to jail for trying to defend their kids. How are you talking to the parents about how they respond when their child has been, abused or bullied or a victim? And how are you talking to them on how to respond to that? Because that is a crucial moment. If you're going to pull up and this happens, because there's a chain reaction. Yeah, a lot of parents pull up. There's a chain reaction. Yeah.
But what I've been experiencing, or what I've been noticing, is everything. Our children are great mimickers. Mm-hmm. If you're single parent, you don't know what your child's watching on Netflix and Tubi, and they show situations just like that, and they show the outcome. Right. So if we don't engage with our children at the dinner table and say, how was your day? What happened? And, well, Johnny pushed me. What did you do? I don't know. He just kept making fun of me, made me mad. So we need to say that, how do you know to do that? Well, I seen this on this YouTube. No, that's not right. That's not correct. So part of that is boundaries. Part of that is really getting involved into your children's lives. We know that abuse does happen. I'm still old school. I still believe in paddling, that I don't do it out of anger. And like, I'm a grandparent, matter of fact. I mean, I got a daughter, 32, and the co-parent still rubs me the wrong way. I tell you, because she's my heart. I don't care what she do. She can get away with everything, and I have to, yeah, mom's right. Stepmom's right. Daddy, no, So we really have to create that village where they have other avenues, the uncles, the play uncles, or whatever, just the friends. One of the things I want to create, especially I know this year PTA meetings were 0 to none, right? No parent showed up because I got to work. I can't take off, right? So I was hoping that we can get some men and some women, some volunteers, and then be introduced to the parents, and the parents trust us with the kid to come sit in to learn, and then relay that back to the parent if she's unable to make it. Because I'm retired. I can, what I'm saying? Things like that. So we're looking for some men and women that's retired or have that time to do things like that, volunteer. And, may have 5 kids that you check on a week or something like that, and then relay it back to the parents if the parents are unable to make it to the PTA meeting. And you trust this person saying, okay, this is what Michelle is doing, this is what Roger's doing, And, and hopefully we can sit back and engage and visit the parents and just have a real conversation about that.
So when we get back to what you were saying about the school situation, something break out on the bus stop, how do you pull up to the school? It's okay to pull up to the school, but what do you do when you get there? Yeah. You can't go in rah fighting just like the little children was on the bus. So
some parents fight the kids like that guy.
Exactly.
Can't do that.
And that ain't the right move.
I mean, it ain't because then now you get a chain reaction. Because if that was my daughter, or if my daughter was even on the bus to see that, I'm gonna have some type of something to say about that.
That's right. So then, who teaches us how to advocate for our children?
That's right.
Because it's okay to go up to the school. It's okay to be upset and angry, but what do you do with it? Right? How do you implement your anger? How do you make a change come based off of your voice? Mm-hmm. Those are the tools that we're looking to sharpen. We're not telling you don't defend your child. We're just telling you defend your child like you playing chess, not checkers, right? You want to be intentional.
And if we talking parent accountability, defend your child like you would in the fight just as much when that teacher call you and say that they ain't been doing right in school. Because a lot of times, I have a lot of educated friends, and they say that they don't get parent cooperation until it's too late, And I know because I co-parent currently, and when I first got with my daughter's mother, she has 2 other children too. So she would get in trouble in school, and so this is before I have kids. So I teach a lot, but these are like my kids now. You know what I mean? And so when she's coming home talking about the teachers this and teachers that, and I'm like, I didn't hear anything from the teachers. And so then I go up there and I'm realizing that a lot of these kids don't have anybody to advocate for them. At that point, when it gets physical and it gets violent and they talking about suspension and expulsion, then all of a sudden, you going to come up here and you want to fight and rah. But when it's at the at the infant stage when we can get behind this, like when they calling and saying he's being disruptive in class. Oh, well, that's just him. Y'all need to make it more entertaining. They actually get on the teachers. Like, that's just him. That's just my baby. But then when your baby get in trouble, or like you said before the mics was on, when your baby's the one out here stealing cars and shooting, when do you show up like that? Yeah, when do you show up like that?
And then as Black parents, we always like, get my kitchen clean. Get them clothes folded up. But do you take as much as accountability as you want your children to take accountability when you give them an instruction?
That's right.
So accountability, that goes both ways.
It
you have
does.
to be accountable to your child just like your child has to be accountable to you.
Right.
You have to be accountable to your child's education just like their educators have to be accountable to you. But if you don't know what accountability means, how are you going to implement it, right?
Do you offer to show up with parents if they need you? I know my first experience with a child with an IEP was very emotional for me because I worried. The school to prison pipeline is real.
Right.
And I saw when they see us, and I can see one of my sons making a decision just to go with the friend just because that's what they do, because they would show up. And I watched how King in that story was like just pushed around in the juvenile justice system. So that's a very thin line. And some parents, we say don't show up, and then there's some parents who don't know how to show up. And then there's some parents who need assistance. So I know that in the beginning when I would go to these IEP meetings and because my son has seizures, which cause other issues,
Right.
I would be emotional and even because I seen the educational system fail people like that my son deal with. And so what I would do is bring an advocate or a liaison with me. I have amazing friends who are from everywhere, from lawyers to educators to just amazing advocates. And I would bring them with me to hear where I couldn't hear, right? To hear, to pick up on the things. And so I've noticed in that process, she not only helped me through the Kentucky Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression, through that parents group, they've helped advocate for a great deal of parents, going to meetings with them. I've done it. I've go and meet with the superintendent for parents or for teachers, and people need that. Do you all offer a service where you would, if a parent, and like in my situation, a kid had a problem on the bus, the parent wanted to go and respond to that, but wanted to find the best way to respond, and so that it doesn't cause a chain reaction that puts them in jail or that puts their child in danger? Do you all offer that in your services as a way? I know you do the certificate once they complete your program, but in the midst of that, if a parent contacted you and said, PAVE, I really need support in this area, can you all come with me to figure out how to deal with this situation?
So we could, right? In theory, we are the village. So if it's not one of us specifically, we know which way to point you to get you that
That's great.
support. And if you would still like one of the team members to attend, we've done that in the past.
Okay.
We've done things like that in the past. So that wouldn't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That we are the village. So whatever parenting needs a parent comes to us with, we will find a solution. Right?
Whatever it takes.
We're not just gonna be like, oh, we don't do that. Nope, sorry, go talk. No, we're gonna find a solution. If you can present a problem, we can find a solution.
Yeah.
That's so good
Right.
to know.
We want them to be successful.
Yes.
We've had some that have come and we had to have somebody to speak for them or to write a letter with them. We had some parents that we had to move out from where they were living at. What was her name? Remember that?
I don't know.
Okay, but we've helped where if anything comes up, like Brandi said, we are there to help.
That's so good.
We want them to succeed in everything that they do as a parent. We're paving the way for them, and so we can't say, well, we're paving, we're here for you, but then just turn them down. We got Miss Wade that's been in the educational system forever.
Sound like a Wade I know.
Yeah, and so what we may not have an answer to, she always has an answer for us.
How are you? And when we look at, because we want to find ways to support you financially, physically, and one of the things that comes with sometimes financial support is people asking, How are you documenting your success stories? How are you telling these stories to put on the website? You can do it in an anonymous way. Like, we helped Susie be able to advocate to get her son in a better school with better transportation, or, get her son out of a violent situation. How are you telling these stories? Because this is the real work. When the city says, oh, we got all this money for anti-violence work or to work with families, I want to see groups like you funded. Yep. Because I know if you're saving 25 kids a year, 25 families or 25 parents a year, those are the things that we want to help build. And I know not growing too fast, too soon, but also being able to expand what you do to different parts of the county, different parts of the state, so people can say what PAVE has started has worked. Now, there is growing pains when you grow in that way. Right. So I would say, yes, build capacity and pace yourself as much as possible. But if we're talking about doing this so that it can benefit more people, how would you say that you document what you do? How do you tell your story? I know you have the website. Do you have a place where somebody can say, hey, we helped 50 families or 50 parents this year?
Yeah. So we actually rely on a self-reporting system. Good. So we send out surveys to all of our parents, right? You get one when you first sign up for the program, when you walk in the door and say, hey, I would like to be a part of PAVE. There's an application that you fill out just so we can have some basic information about you. We asked you questions about what you're dealing with in your home. This is an anonymous survey. We don't want to know your details unless you're ready for us to know that, right? And then we do it 3 times throughout the program. So we do it at the beginning to see where you are when you started. Halfway through the program, we won't check up on you, see where you are again. And then at the end, we'll have the conclusion, right? But on top of that, we have video testimonials. We were actually just presented with an award, I think, 2 weeks ago from LCCC. We won the Lyman T. Johnson Community Service Award. Great. And one of our parents actually got up there and gave her testimony just on a random, right? We didn't know she was going to do that. Wow. But she can just vouch and tell you what PAVE has done for her, right? So we have the self-reporting system where we get the metrics because we know that is important. Yes. We have to make sure that we're getting the right outcomes. We have the testimonials where we can record it. But the biggest way we're documenting it is you can walk in that room any Thursday. Last Thursday, we really only have capacity at max in one location. So you're talking about growing pains. We have max for maybe 25, 30 people. Oh, wow. We had almost 40 people Thursday, clearly by word of mouth. Okay, so that is the type of work that we're doing. We want the growing pains where we have to figure out which day of the week we're going to go to this neighborhood because we have that many parents. If we have the parents that need the help, we're going to show up and make sure that we're there to give it, whatever it takes at any cost. We have a solid team. We work together. We all contribute something different. And if, say, Smoketown called me when I leave here, I'm going to answer Smoketown and say, what day we need to be there? We'll be there. And we're going to show up full force with everybody behind us, and we're going to make sure that we're doing what we have to do in that community to make that community successful.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you guys would like to share about the work that you do before we get out of here? I mean, it's some incredible work. Just any success stories for you? Y'all probably got too many to name, huh? They all talked out.
But I think at the end of the day, the success is seeing people's lives change and transform. When you begin to have love for people again and not be so selfish and self-centered, all about you, I got it, you have to give back, right? You just have to give back, because your story matters, right? How did I get here? Where I go from here, so we have all diversity, 4 different stories, but we end at the same place, so we can change 4 people's different lives. And then 4, 8, 12, it's the multiplication thing. So it's no longer it's all about me. It's all about we, right? This is the vision. This is what we're going to do. Boots to the ground. We don't turn nobody down, and we love it on them all. Obviously, ain't too many men who have custody of their children, but we do encourage men to come, right? And if you're a single mother, invite your ex to come. because it'll benefit both of you guys. Because if you're on the same team, and your child, even though y'all not married no more, this, that, and other, y'all have the same values, and that's instilled. And there are a lot of success stories like that too.
Would you encourage people who are co-parenting to come? Both parents come?
Most definitely.
Anytime?
That's the blessing.
Great.
It said two can exist in the same room, and then they be able to resolve, why am I really mad at you anyway?
Because you ugly? No, just playing. You know it's always going to be something petty.
That part. And a lot of the conflicts that we have in our community is petty.
Yeah.
Petty.
Yeah.
Why you looking at me? You stepped on my Jordans. Oh, you got a different colored T-shirt than I got on. Petty.
Yeah.
It's just clothes, bro. Sis.
Yeah. It's not worth nobody's life.
Agree. You should
Facts.
be able to walk away from conflict. And we should be teaching the skills, not just for our young people, but our adults to do the same, because they see their adults acting out. When road rage, they hear you in the car. Or if, something goes violent at a grocery store over an item, they see that. So we want to be the best examples. And I think your work is the best example I've heard, especially the fact that you work with parents and you are working with them so that they don't engage in violence, and better families happen when we make better choices. I really thank you for everything that you've shared. I want you to consider this District 3 office a partner, and me a partner personally beyond this seat. As a mother, as a grandmother,
so much.
you have that in me, and Shavli and everything else that we do. Just let me know. Call on me. And I told you that I saw you at Bishop's table.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have not, and I love that. So keep going. We want you to come back if you want to come and share. You have a fundraiser, or you have a family or somebody you want to share and kind of build up the website and do everything you need to do. You're welcome to come back to the space and do the same.
Thank
you so much.
Yes, please come back, and thank you for coming. And for everybody listening, if you do have any parenting-related concerns or anti-violence-related concerns, please reach out to PAVE at pavellc502@gmail.com or by phone at 502-224-5017. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Invaluable information, and we look forward to seeing you soon. All right.
you.
Thank you. Excellent.